Maddy, thanks for talking to us. And people really do want to understand what this is all about. I'm not sure we've been amazing at explaining it in the last few days. What is being proposed?
Yeah, well, I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Well, the UK Internal Market Bill, this is a bill that's being introduced to regulate trade within the UK, so between Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and England. Sort of the bit that everyone's been talking about and the bit that Brandon Lewis mentioned yesterday in Parliament is what the government is planning to do around Northern Ireland. Now, the government committed earlier this year that actually it would guarantee unfettered access for businesses trading from Northern Ireland into Great Britain, even though they've signed up to the Northern Ireland Protocol with the EU earlier this year. And that's the sort of international treaty bit that Brandon Lewis was talking about. And it seems that they are going to bring forward certain powers, and we haven't seen the bill yet, I should add, to actually be able to unilaterally make certain decisions to be able to guarantee that access. And the reason this is controversial is because how the Northern Ireland Protocol will be implemented is still up for discussion with the EU within the Joint Committee, the body that oversees the Withdrawal Agreement. So the fact that the UK is preemptively taking these powers to say, if we don't reach a decision with the EU, we're going to do this anyway, is pretty controversial because those discussions are still up for negotiation. And it isn't quite clear, as I say, what the government's going to do exactly and what exact powers it's going to take at this stage. But I think there is a real concern that it will lead to a point where the government does break its obligations under international law.
Yeah. One of the key bits is that if a free trade deal is not agreed between the UK and the EU, then this legislation, the government say, would potentially be very useful to them. And in simple terms, it's about agreeing something, voting on it, bringing it in, and then several months later, changing your mind on it.
Well, exactly. And I think what we should remember is that the reason that the question of how Northern Ireland would trade both with the EU and with Great Britain was resolved earlier this year was because of the history of Northern Ireland within the UK. And there was a real effort for both the EU and the UK to avoid bringing back a hard border of the island of Ireland. And the UK committed to that so that if a deal wasn't agreed with the EU, that question would still be resolved. So the fact that the government now is willing to potentially row back on that commitment, I think is a concern. And I think it's also worth saying that the government's position is that this is offering more certainty to Northern Ireland businesses, but we haven't actually heard any business groups asking for this at this point.
No, and it's interesting because the Health Secretary on the radio this morning said actually this was about protecting the Northern Ireland peace process. He didn't mention that this was about Northern Ireland businesses.
Well, I would also say that the Northern Ireland Protocol itself is about protecting the Northern Ireland peace process. So it's not exactly clear that the decisions that the UK may take in the event of no deal to sort of address that question of trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, it's not entirely clear how that will protect the peace process. Because if the UK doesn't uphold its obligations under the Northern Ireland Protocol, then I think there might be decisions that need to be taken, that the EU might feel it needs to take, about how it will monitor goods crossing from Northern Ireland into the Republic. So there are sort of two different borders at sort of question here.
If anybody's watching who runs a business in Northern Ireland or who works for a company in Northern Ireland, I'd be really interested to hear from you this morning on your views on this and whether you think what is being proposing would actually help your business. Let me know, send me an email. Can I just ask you to take a step back, Maddy Thimont Jack, and react to the fact that a government minister has said that this proposed legislation does break international law in a very specific and limited way. What do you make of that?
I think all I can say really is that it's pretty extraordinary, and I think that it is quite incredible to see. I think normally if a state wants to sort of challenge the implementation of an international agreement, they will claim that what they're doing is legal. It's very rare for a government minister to say, actually, we know that what we're doing or what we might want to do will be illegal, but we're going to do it anyway. And there are questions about what this might mean for the other negotiations that are going on with the EU. Again, the government hasn't said it's going to break international law sort of just yet, or at least we're not quite clear how they're going to break international law. But I don't quite see how the EU, what that means for those negotiations. How will the EU trust the UK to sort of sign up to any of the obligations that it might want to put place on it in the next treaty if they don't trust them to uphold the treaty they've already signed?
Or indeed any other independent nation around the world when it comes to the UK trying to do free trade deals. Once we've got to the end of the transition period. Thank you very much, Maddy. Thanks for talking to us.